पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद संसारोदावानललिर्हलोका त्राणाय कारुण्या घन घनात्यम् प्राप्तश्च कल्याण गुणनवशा वन्दे गुराश्री चरणारविन्द महाप्रभो कीर्तन नृत्य गीता वादित्रवादान् मनशरशेना रोमाञ्चकम्पाश्रुतरङ्गो भाजो वन्दे गोराश्री चरणारविन्द श्रीविग्रहाराधननृत्यनाना शृङ्गारतन्मन्दिरमार्जनादो युक्तश्च भक्ताश्च निजुञ्जतोऽपि वन्दे गुरुश्री चरणारविन्द चतुर्विध श्री भगवत्प्रसादो स्वादन्न तृप्तान् हरिभक्तो संगान् कृतैव तृप्तिं भजत सदैव वन्दे गुराश्री चरणारविन्द श्रीराधिका माधुबरो पारो माधुर्यो लीला गुरुरूपो नाम्नाम् प्रतीक्षणाशा धनलोपाशा वन्दे गुराश्री चरणारविन्द निकुंज योनो रतिकेली सिद्धोई जा जाले भेजो तिरपेक्षणीया तत्र दिदक्ष रतिवल्लभस्य वन्दे गौरश्री चरणारविन्द साक्षाद्धरितेना समस्तशास्त्रै रुक्तस्तथा भावतैव सद्भिः किन्तु प्रभोर्जा प्रिय एव तस्य वन्दे गौरश्री चरणारविन्द यस्य प्रसाद भगवत्प्रसाद यस्य प्रसाद न गुरुतोऽपि स्तुभांस्तश यशस्वी साध्यं वन्दे गौरश्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गौरश्री चरणारविन्दम् वन्दे गौरश्री चरणारविन्दम् हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 रामो राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपद जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय गुरुदेव 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 निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर प्रेमानंद हरि बोल। जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की।
Srila Haridas Thakur ki Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki Shri Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Shri Shri Navadvip Mayapur Jagannath Puri Dham ki Gangamayi Jamunamayi ki Bhakti Devi Tulsi Maharani ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Shri Guru, Shri Gauranga. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. We would like to welcome Her Grace Annada Devi Dasi. She is a Prabhupada disciple. She met, I think, Srila Prabhupada in 1972, and in July, and she took her initiation. When was it?
Well, formal initiation 6 months later. Although Prabhupada did ask me at that time if I'd like to be initiated, and there was a mutual acceptance at that first time.
So when she first met Srila Prabhupada asked her to become initiated, but she accepted after 6 months later on in France, I think. It took place in France. And she did lots of services in England, in France, in Europe mostly, and America. Recently, she's residing in Vrindavan and England. So, welcome. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation. Yeah, we would like to hear from you more about Srila Prabhupada. Haribo.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Yes, the devotees make part of the formation of the ocean of mercy. There's no doubt about that. And the more we remember Srila Prabhupada, the more that ocean is manifest. So I'm very grateful to you for your kindness. Should I say a little bit? Well, okay. I've got. Is that he is the envoy of Krishna to spread Krishna Prem. Prabhupada could have done so many other things. He could have, which he did the other things also. He could have focused on building many beautiful temples or planting trees or, so many activities that people think are valuable in this world. Because being a pure devotee, to my understanding, I was told that a pure devotee, he has the ability to even create a universe. He's the sum total of all the demigods. So this personality who is so dear to all of us, Srila Prabhupada, he's like the core of all of our lives. His most important gift, as we all know, is bhakti. That without bhakti, without love of God, life has no purpose. We've seen that time and time again. Even the great demigods are not satisfied with their wealth, their riches, their beauty, their access to unlimited sense gratification. And we see that in this world also. There's so many wealthy people, so many wealthy countries, but neither the rich nor the poor materially are happy. And even ourselves as devotees, we're not happy unless we're experiencing our connection with Srila Prabhupada and connecting with other devotees in the same way. So the first time I had the opportunity to be with Srila Prabhupada face to face was when I was 18 years old. And just as Prabhupada has been the turning point for all of our lives, it was a turning point in my life. The moment I came in Srila Prabhupada's presence, I felt something, and I saw someone like I'd never felt or seen before. And it was to do more with the heart than with the... Actually, I couldn't see Srila Prabhupada very well because he was sitting behind his desk and there was only a small light, a dim light in front of him. It was the evening time. And I was also very shy. And I felt if I looked at him, if I looked up, I looked at him, I might hurt him by my glance because I was so contaminated and dark. But what I felt from him was this amazing feeling of complete love, complete acceptance, and eternity. This was it. You know, here was the person that my heart was searching for all my life, but I didn't know it. I wasn't looking for a spiritual master. I couldn't imagine a personality like Srila Prabhupada. But somehow, by Krishna's arrangement, he reciprocates with each one of us, and according to time and possibility, he connects us as quickly as possible to the pure devotee. And that connection for everyone is a very individual thing. It's nothing mechanical. It's individual reciprocation between us and Srila Prabhupada. And it takes, although it's a very natural relationship, it takes a lot of, well, Prabhupada said that the only price for Krishna consciousness is our sincerity. So it really takes a lot of attentiveness, focus. I need it. To offer everything we have at every moment to Srila Prabhupada. That's the goal. And we all know that, at least I know, there's so many distractions. But the constant prayer of all of us is surely to be always attached to that one personality who has who's empowered by Krishna to take us all back to Godhead. Without Prabhupada's Vani, without his books, without the process that he's given us, without the standard that he's set for us by his example, there's no question of becoming prepared, becoming cleansed, becoming purified to go back to Godhead. So it's a very practical, moment-to-moment meditation. And it doesn't really make that much difference where we came from, when we joined. I mean, it has some importance, but the most important factor is how intense is our desire to actually know who is Srila Prabhupada, what are his teachings, and how to follow in a manner that he's pleased and we're all pleased and happy and healthy and wealthy and wise and all the rest. Not that we as devotees should be feeling any kind of lack. So that's quite a big challenge, because in reality we're here and we want to be, in a state of Krishna conscious health. So from my observation, whenever and wherever Srila Prabhupada was, I'll give you an example. The last time he came to England in 1977, he came at Janmashtami time to Bhaktivedanta Manor and stayed for about 10 days. He couldn't walk. He was carried down from his room to the temple room in a palanquin made like, there was a chair and it was nicely decorated, and there were, just like he has a palanquin here, a little different. But he would come down to the temple room every day, and his palanquin was placed in front of his Vyasasan, and he would sit gazing at Radha Gokulananda, and at the time of Guru Puja, there would be an amazing kirtan, because devotees had come from France and neighboring temples. Wherever Prabhupada was, whoever could come and be with him from as close a temple as possible, they would come. So, or if they had a lot of money, they would come from a faraway temple. But many devotees came at this time, those who heard that Prabhupada was there, they came. And from different parts of the world. Bhakti Tirtha came, he was Ghanshyam. Jai Tirtha was there, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was there, Guru Kripa Maharaj. Abhiram Prabhu was there and his wife. Arundhati and Pradumna. Pradumna was Srila Prabhupada's personal assistant as Prabhupada was writing Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. and he would travel with Prabhupada wherever he went, even more than his personal servants might have changed, but Pradyumna was a constant. He was always there. So there are many different devotees, and you know what it's like when there's a lot of souls that are not totally liberated, when they're all in the same temple room. Sometimes there's feelings of disagreement or this or that, or some politics or this or that. At least in those days there was a little bit of that. But when Prabhupada was there, then all of that just vanished. That is Prabhupada's influence. That's the influence of his presence to this day. That as we chant in the pranam prayers, Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasacharya Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutale, he's the most dear servant of Krishna on this planet. This planet is actually ruled by Srila Prabhupada in the sense that Krishna's laws are given to us through Srila Prabhupada, and like it or not, accept it or not, those laws are what rule this planet. So in that way, Prabhupada's presence is being felt in so many different ways, not just in our temples, but wherever people have received his books and are reading his books. Prabhupada said these books will be the law for the next 10,000 years. My books will be law for the next 10,000 years. And he said, I choose every word with great deliberation. So the pure devotee doesn't make any mistake. That's someone who's Shakshad Hari, as good as God. That's not a person who makes mistakes. So Prabhupada's mercy and his presence can be perceived by us to the extent that we're honest. That we actually understand that the purpose of life is to love God. It's to love and understand God. There is no other purpose to life. There's no, it's not our purpose to accumulate wealth or followers or this or that, because it doesn't belong to us. We can have it if it's to serve Krishna. And that's where Srila Prabhupada manifested the glory of pure devotion to Krishna, that in such a short time, the fruit of all his preaching up to that time became manifest in 11 years. It matured and became manifest in a period of 11 to 12 years. And then that fruit is being spread. And it's being spread by his followers, but it's the duty of his followers to make sure, just like it's the duty of a good farmer, to make sure that all the original practices, the natural practices are being followed, that we're not GMOing anything, we're not applying horrible chemicals or trying to genetically modify, do this or do that. No, but we just follow what the process that Mother Nature has put in place under Krishna's order, and we live a simple life. The weather would be very nice always. We wouldn't need air conditioners or heaters. Prabhupada describes the ideal kingdom of Maharaj Yudhishthira, where there was no excessive heat or cold, no anxiety, no disease, and the fields were muddied with the milk of cows, happy cows. So if we truly want to increase our good fortune and ability to spread good fortune, then all of us need to become very much more cooperative. And to be cooperative, we cannot maintain any artificial personal motivation. But we can only give up personal motivations when we can trust that no one else has any personal motivations. So once Yogeshwara asked Srila Prabhupada, well, how much should we surrender to Krishna, and then how much, do we look after ourselves or hold back? And Prabhupada replied that pure devotional service, there is only one kind of devotional service, and that's pure devotional service. It's that we don't hold anything back. That's when we actually begin to live a Krishna conscious life or experience real Krishna consciousness. So, it's definitely a process that requires purity, sincerity, honesty, transparency, so that we can, as Jamuna would often quote, and Prabhupada had said the phrase to her, that we need to become fit receptacles for Krishna's mercy. So, we're all here, we're practicing. But things have changed. Some things have changed. Some things have not changed. Prabhupada and Krishna's determination to save us has not changed. Other things have changed. Some standards have dropped. Some standards have gone up. But it's always good to go back to the roots, or go back to the original intent. So it's always good to refresh. So I would like to read Srila Prabhupada's mission statement for ISKCON. There's seven points. What would you call it? Seven purposes. Thank you. 7 purposes. So the first is to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large and to educate all peoples in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. So to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large, and to educate all peoples in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. That's an ongoing, seems like an eternal problem in the material world, that there's always warmongers around, especially at this time. And there's a very significant story that one devotee told, that when Srila Prabhupada was about to land in Boston in September 1965, there were Russian submarines very close to the American coast, because there was a conflict between, the same conflict, ongoing conflict between America and Russia. And this devotee's uncle was a naval officer on one of those submarines. And he was speaking to his uncle, chatting with his uncle one day, telling him about Srila Prabhupada and when he arrived in America. And they realized that the time at which Srila Prabhupada landed in Boston coincided with the time that the Russian commanders on the submarine got a message from Moscow to turn around and head home. As soon as Prabhupada landed in America, Krishna sent the submarines back. So, obviously, Krishna is not a warmonger. The whole of Bhagavad-Gita was to instate a leader who could see to the spiritual to the spiritual progress of his people. There was no other motive to install Maharaj Yudhishthira other than that the purpose of human life could be achieved by the citizens in his care. So if generation after generation of human beings are being held back from achieving the goal of life, then the whole purpose of this universe is null and void. Krishna doesn't want war. Why would Krishna want his beautiful planet destroyed by war, which is the culmination of unnatural sense gratification? So that's where people, in this first paragraph, the first purpose is to teach people the spiritual values of life and to free them from the imbalances that, there's a science of how to live. And no one's being taught that. People are being kept in ignorance. So Krishna sends his pure devotee. This is a very enormous mission, and it's to be taken up in an enormous way as well. Prabhupada would always say that, one humble person has been able to achieve so much. Just imagine if so many other people would do the same. We can change the planet, we can do it. We can only do it when we're fully surrendered to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada also said that if my disciples were fully surrendered to me, we could take over the world in 18 days. So it's all a matter of surrender. If we can, because our relationship with Srila Prabhupada is reflected in our relationship with each other. As good as our relationship is with Prabhupada, that's how good it is with each other. Prabhupada and Krishna, that's how good it is with each other. That's why it's so important to understand the unlimited magnitude of Prabhupada's power and personality. And it's all, and the essence of it all is pure love. That Prabhupada and Krishna, they love us so much. If we could only understand that and learn how to receive that love and, put it into, energize all our activities with that love. I don't want to keep going on about love because people will think I'm kind of strange, but actually Prabhupada said our activities are useless if they're not, if there's not that element of bhakti or love. So please forgive me, I'm going on about it. Anyway, to propagate a conscious, because everyone, even a child responds to love. A child feels very uncomfortable if it's not loved. You can give it all the toys you want. You can, put it in front of a television, stuff food in its mouth. But if the mother and father don't love it, it's going to be a problem forever. So we don't want to make that mistake. So the second purpose is to propagate the consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the Bhagavad-Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The third, to bring the members of society together with each other and nearer to Krishna, the prime entity, and thus to develop the idea within the members and humanity at large that each soul is part and parcel of the quality of Godhead, Krishna. So now everyone's thinking, God bless America, God bless India, God bless Russia, God bless... We're not thinking God bless the world. Even the politicians that some people might admire, they disappoint you because they'll just say, God bless my country. They won't say God bless any other country. So, what's the use of selfish leaders, nationalistic leaders? They're in total illusion, and they're keeping their people in illusion. The Prabhupada here, he's telling us that to develop the idea with the members and humanity at large, that each soul is part and parcel of the quality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So everyone, it's everyone's birthright to be completely fulfilled. There's no need for people to feel envious or inimical or frustrated or whatever, unhappy or... Why are we wasting our time? Why? Again, a very important element is the element of non-enviousness, that enviousness doesn't exist in the spiritual world. So that's another quality that as devotees we need to propagate amongst ourselves and spread it to others also, that we're all part and parcel of God. What is this? These names of nationality and borders and this and that. It's just extended lust, anger, and greed. That's all it is. And it ends up in birth, disease, old age, and death. So who's being benefited? So yeah, it's a huge it's a huge responsibility we have to understand it for ourselves, to come to that state of cleanliness, that I'm not Indian, I'm not American, I'm not Chinese, Russian, Japanese, I'm not this body, I'm not rich, poor, big, small, even male, female, you know, we're all spirit, soul, we need to honor and respect across the board. And that needs to be, what is it? Charity begins at home. And we have to practice what we preach. So we do have a lot of homework, a lot of good homework, a lot of Cheto Darpana Marjanam. And it's happening thanks to so many wonderful devotees who are chanting and preaching with great vigor and faith. The fourth is to teach and encourage the Sankirtan movement of congregational chanting of the holy names of God as revealed in the teachings of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The fifth is to erect for the members and for society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Krishna. The sixth is to bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a simpler and more natural way of life. And the seventh, with a view towards achieving the aforementioned purposes, to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other writings. One time in, actually Prabhupada mentioned it probably many times, but I only know a couple of times Prabhupada mentioned the same thing, that Govinda means the giver of pleasure to the land, the cows, and the senses. And he made this statement in a series of lectures in Seattle in 1968. And it's like an encapsulation of the essence of Krishna consciousness, that Govinda means the giver of pleasure to the land, the cows, and the senses. How much clearer could it be that we offer the gifts of the land to Govinda, and by doing that, everyone's senses are satisfied. The cows are protected and pleased. That's the essence of Krishna consciousness, just like the prayer Jai Radha Madhava, Prabhupada tells us, is like the picture of complete Krishna consciousness. Radha Madhava, the river Jamuna, our protector, Yashoda Nandana, Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari, our protector. That's Vrindavan. But what's happened? Where did we go wrong? How did this happen? You know, all these changes. Of course, we could say they're external. Vrindavan is eternal. It never changes. We have to develop the eyes to see Vrindavan. That's there, but at the same time, there's a lot more we could do were we more united to, and you know, like really, if we actually could understand the challenge and how to get people to understand that there's no other way than to be more sensitive and in tune to our environment. It's not our environment, it's Krishna's. It belongs to Krishna. It doesn't have to be noisy and dirty, and it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. So I guess, there's a lot of introspection and a lot of changes Krishna is initiating, just like with COVID. So many changes happened, and it's forecast that more changes are going to happen. And we can have faith that Krishna will guide us and give us the intelligence how to use whatever situation comes to step forward to a deeper and stronger connection with Krishna consciousness. There's this one very important verse from the Svetasvatara Upanishad. Yasya deve para bhaktir yata deve tata guru tasyaite katita prakashante mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith both in the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Prabhupada is that great soul for us who has implicit faith in the Lord and his spiritual master, and he's sharing his personal ecstasies. He said his purports were his personal ecstasies. He's sharing all of this with us. So how to keep the spirit alive and the heart of the Krishna consciousness movement pure and pumping, keep the blood strong. Prabhupada said he turned hippies into happies. Sometimes the happies turn back into hippies, and that's not so good. We become unhappy again. So it's not a mechanical. We all know it's not a mechanical process. It takes diligence. It takes attentiveness, and we're here to. It also takes personalism, that we have to not be afraid of being personal and actually truly and deeply caring about each other. And for that we have to know what Srila Prabhupada expects of us. How our relationship should be, and how to pull each other forward or push each other in a non-envious, secure, and confident way. So, Prabhupada also, he was always the perfect gentleman. He said the first quality of a devotee is that he's a perfect gentleman. So a perfect gentleman is one you can trust in any circumstance. And we all have experience that who's the one that's always there for us? Who's the one in whom we can put all of our trust and faith, other than Srila Prabhupada? I don't know of anyone other than Prabhupada, and I don't think any of us do. So we, at least, we in ISKCON we have that wonderful magnet of Srila Prabhupada holding us all together. And as the days and years go by, this movement will become stronger and stronger as the devotees become purer and purer. Prabhupada would say, now we have so many devotees, now we need to boil the milk. Let it boil, become nice, condensed and strong. So, under no circumstances should we ever feel depressed or disappointed. We should always, either pick up a book and read it, or do some service, or hear Prabhupada, or pray to Prabhupada. Prayer is so strong. I feel I don't pray enough. And also how to pray, what to pray for. It's all such a wonderful science, and so many wonderful things to learn. Would someone else say something, or you have some questions or questions? Okay. All right. Questions, please. Okay, the question is, your name is? Palika? Bali Gaurangi Devidasi asked the question that Prabhupada mentions that in Srimad Bhagavatam, that we shouldn't ask Krishna for anything material or spiritual. Yes, Krishna knows our needs, just like a father or mother knows the needs of the child. But that doesn't stop the child from asking. Sometimes the child is a little, doesn't understand the parents, or is a little impatient. But yes, the pure devotee, he doesn't ask Krishna for anything except pure devotional service. He doesn't ask anything for himself because he's completely fulfilled. But till we get to that point, there's no restriction in asking Krishna to help us to get to that point of total surrender. And at other times, Prabhupada says that pious people approach the Lord to ask for things. That's not the best, but it's at least we're approaching the Lord and then gradually becoming purified. We don't know how Krishna will react, but it's always good to start somewhere. To start praying for something, make some connection, and then our standard can go higher bit by bit, but we can't be artificial. Oh Krishna, please let me get that. I do it all the time. Please help me with this, please help me with that. That we should definitely at least beg Krishna that we remember to pray like that. Because if we forget to pray, even we're chanting Hare Krishna every day, but sometimes we can forget why we're chanting. I have to chant at least 16 rounds, so you chant them, but sometimes At least I do, I forget, you know. So yeah, we have to be Krishna conscious, conscious that Krishna wants that relationship to fructify. That's dormant. It's been such a long time. Krishna is very impatient for us to come back to our full consciousness, you know, the full blossom and fruit. It's very important that we don't waste time. Don't we all see how Maya imperceptibly creeps in so many different ways? So yeah, we need to pray. But if we can pray for the right thing, then as Prabhupada says, then if you have $1 million, then all your $1 problems are solved. So if we pray for pure Krishna consciousness, then all our, you know, all of that other troublesome stuff is sorted out. Yeah, he's given us the perfect life, the perfect answers to all our questions. And somehow we're like the donkey, you know, we put our feet in the earth and I'm not moving, I'm staying right here. They say that sometimes to get a donkey to move you have to light a fire under its backside and then it gets moving really quick. Not recommended, but you know, better than hitting it. Anyway.
Lakshmi. So it's, you know, we hear all the time, what you say, we continuously hear, we read, and we know that when you do such and such thing, it's not good. Then, why do we do what we do? I mean,
Okay. Is that it, the question?
yeah. One thing they say that either you're not focusing on your lungs properly. That's what you making your mind more agitated. So, how do we understand this thing? How do we kind of not do what we are not supposed to?
Okay. So Lakshmi Priya Prabhu, she was asking that we know what the standard is, and yet sometimes we do what we're not supposed to do. Why do we do that? Well, Krishna, the same question was asked by Arjuna, and Krishna replies that it's lust and lust alone, the all-devouring sinful enemy of mankind. So the opposite of love is lust. The opposite of self-realization is ignorance. We do things that we're not meant to do out of forgetfulness of the wonderful things we should be doing and could be doing. And that's why devotee association is so important, like real devotee association. Association that's focused on Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said it's a sin to cheat, but it's an even greater sin to be cheated. And he also said that nothing can destroy this movement from outside, but it can be destroyed from within. So we have to look within ourselves. And he also said that the highest realization is to save ourselves. We're responsible for ourselves, at least. So it's Maya is always testing, and Prabhupada also made the statement that we're not resolute or determined enough in our practice, which means we're not sincere enough. So we need to be more attentive when we chant. We need to beg Krishna to help us taste the joy of Krishna consciousness, to help us stay on a transcendental platform and not on the cat and dog platform. Because again, all these wars are a product of illegitimate sense gratification. From generation to generation, it becomes the norm. We don't know how to behave like human beings. That's the reality. Prabhupada is teaching us how to be human beings, and we have to learn it step by step, prayer by prayer, round by round. And the more we chant, the more we practice. We don't know what's, the seeds of sinful desire that are within the heart. We don't know what's there. Krishna knows what's there. So if we focus on connecting with Krishna within the heart, to relieve us from this engagement of external sense gratification, which is not in Krishna's service. For example, we can honor prasadam, but we should also make sure that the prasad that we honor it in the right mentality, and that it's healthy and clean and offered in the right consciousness. It's not a mechanical process. We have to be very strong. That's why our connection with Srila Prabhupada, we can't allow it to be blasphemed by bad association, or like even in the atmosphere, even in Vrindavan, there's so much going on. It's in the atmosphere, and we have to somehow or other take deeper shelter of the Lord, because all over the planet, the sense gratification is number one in everyone's mind and heart. Work hard and enjoy the senses. It's I, me, mine. I work hard, this is my house, this is my wife, this is my children, these are my cars, this is my television. It's all just like worms in the stew. So we have to see it for what it is, and reach for something much, 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 much. You can't even compare it. To reach for what's glorious. Believe in the glory of the soul. Does that? It's tough, but we have to keep praying, keep chanting, keep going. And Prabhupada again says, failure is a pillar of success. That we make a mistake, we see our fault, and then we try to pick ourselves up and move on, like that. And it's from who knows how many previous births. Prabhupada's explaining that, we're habituated to different ways of different, things are embedded in our consciousness. That's why prayer and good association, and hearing 24 hours, keeping Prabhupada playing 24 hours. Somehow or other, yena tena prakarena Krishna niveshayat, that somehow or the other we should always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna, like that. And keep praying, keep chanting, keep singing, keep showering, keep offering prasad, keep keep happy somehow or other. And keep connecting with devotees. It's very important. Heart to heart. Heart to heart. Maybe someone has something to add to that? Some good advice? Yes?
I am very bhakti and I'm very happy that you mentioned the love aspect. And I would like to ask that what is the essence of a loving relationship? Because I heard that without loving relationships there is no bhakti. So when that is gone, then there is no bhakti anymore. And in my experience, my personal experience, and during the time I spent in the movement, we already so much damaged when we joined the movement.
Mm-hmm.
So we somehow get materially exhausted. We got a lot of injuries,
Yeah.
from the material world. So we kind of come into the movement with a lot of life injuries, and how to understand what does it mean in a loving relationship, and how to maintain that after loving relationships.
A loving relationship is one that's based on serving Srila Prabhupada, serving his instruction, and doing what is beneficial for Guru, Krishna, everyone else, and yourself. That's a loving relationship. That if what I'm doing is pleasing Prabhupada and Krishna, then everyone else will be pleased. If it's something, a loving relationship means a relationship that's actually helping you forward in Krishna consciousness, always. And that you don't have any malice or any bad intention or bad thoughts. Because, we see externally, we see, oh, this person's like this, or this person looks like this, or that person. We don't know what's inside the package. We don't know, except what Prabhupada tells us, that inside is a pure spirit soul who has the same qualities as Krishna. And he's training us to see like that. So loving relationship means that you don't hold any. You only hold Krishna in your heart and Guru in your heart to share. That's the ideal. And even if it's there, even if sometimes we get a little selfish, that's our individuality, like. As long as we just pray to follow Prabhupada's example of purity and innocence, someday we'll get there. Krishna is very kind. He wants us to be there. So we shouldn't have any doubt that it'll happen. But we need each other's help. Thank you. And that was, the question you asked was, your name is Lalitamrita, right?
Hari Bhakti.
Hari Bhakti, sorry. Hari Bhakti. And the question Hari Bhakti asked was, what exactly is a loving relationship in Krishna consciousness? Yeah. So we exchange knowledge of Shastra, experiences, guidance, gifts, realizations. Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for your association.
Thank you for yours.
My question is, when we quoted yesterday the Bhagavad-Gita, is the implicit faith is bestowed or
Are you sure you don't have implicit faith?
That's why I'm asking.
Your name's
Kasturi.
Kasturi. Asked, the question is
Is implicit faith bestowed, or we have to work upon it?
is implicit faith bestowed or do we have to work on it? Both. Both. Do you have implicit faith in anyone other than Prabhupada or anything other than the process he's given? But you do have implicit faith in Srila Prabhupada and the process that he's given. So it's been bestowed upon you and you've received it. So you have it. You have it. You may not feel it, that you're able to act according to that standard of complete surrender or the topmost implicit faith, but you have it. And it will mature and we'll all get there because that's where we came from. That state of complete surrender, complete happiness, complete fulfillment, having given everything, having, completely surrendered. Things are holding us back a little bit, but it's not too serious, not too serious. Thank you for your implicit faith. Without it, you couldn't be here. You couldn't be doing what you're doing. It'll just grow. It will just keep growing. Anything else? Any other experiences? Help? Some Prabhupada stories. I remember a few things from Vrindavan. Let's see, I think, is it okay if I just tell some random stories? In 74, just when the temple was meant to be opening in 1974, Srila Prabhupada was very sick. And a godbrother was sleeping in the same quarters as Srila Prabhupada. And he told me that he had heard Prabhupada coughing the whole night through. Just coughing the whole night through. Prabhupada hadn't slept. And he said, when I heard Prabhupada cough like that, I thought, I never want to commit an offense again. That Prabhupada has to go through this kind of inconvenience. And again, that was Srila Prabhupada's surrender to his spiritual master and to his beloved followers. And that is not just for that time, it's for all time. For all the followers of Prabhupada, for all time. That we have to behave in such a way that we don't inconvenience Srila Prabhupada, and that's so much easier said than done, just like you were mentioning, it's so easy to neglect important services or important focus, it's very easy to become distracted and to take Prabhupada lightly, like Prabhupada will do everything for us, just like the Christians, Christ died for our sins. So Prabhupada took on this immense burden. He can do all the work and we can just play around and, we're going back to Godhead. It's going to happen. It's not going to happen unless we make the same commitment to Srila Prabhupada that he has made to us. Prabhupada made the statement that if the Guru is correct and the disciple is correct, then the business will be correct. So we have the correct Guru, but as disciples, I have to be correct also. And that's where implicit faith, But then again, it's a Shakti that Prabhupada bestows. When he sees we're ready, and when our heart is open, then that implicit faith becomes more and more manifest, it seems. What do you think? What do you think?
I have a question.
Oh, question. Kamala has a question.
So, we got our grandchildren of Srila Prabhupada. So when we do offense to some devotees, naturally that offense also goes to Srila Prabhupada because of this Guru Parampara system.
Yeah.
Do we also, Srila Prabhupada also gets the
Well, in one sense, Srila Prabhupada's completely transcendental. He's completely free of everything, all offenses, etc., etc. But at the same time, that effect is there. It's like Krishna is completely detached from the material world, and Prabhupada's detached from. He doesn't need a following or want a following, but it's painful to Krishna if the living entity isn't responsive in that loving relationship, which is free of offenses. So it goes into another ocean. It doesn't go into the ocean. Our energy doesn't go into the ocean of love of Godhead. It goes, falls flat somewhere. So in that sense, whatever we do as grand disciples, we're still representing Srila Prabhupada's movement for the next so many generations. So actually, it's got nothing to do. In many ways, it has nothing to do with time or generation. The instruction is the same. It's eternal instruction. The responsibility will be the same for any generation. So, the offense or no offense, the effect will be there. If we favorable devotional service has particular effect, and if it's unfavorable, then it doesn't help Lord Chaitanya's movement. So it's an offense to the Lord himself, let alone his devotees. So we do have to be very careful and always a prayerful mood. Question, please. Or is it time?
6:35.
Is it time to stop? or just to,
feel so.
whatever.
Part of 7 is sadness.
Oh, okay, okay. Question.
Just appears like a topic of our discussion today somewhat, how to keep ourselves in a track on Krishna conscious path.
Follow Govinda. Just follow
I just
Govinda.
thought that if, to get some feedback from devotees, from you personally, and maybe from others, like what helped them, and personally to you, what is your experience, that what helps you to, keep yourself, pull yourself back on the path when you feel like you get kind of loose or like kind of like something slack and distract.
What has kept me going is,
What's the question?
Govinda asked what keeps me going when my determination becomes slack, or what has kept me going in Krishna consciousness. Definitely keeping my ear tuned to Prabhupada's sound vibration is what's nourished me ever since, especially since when Prabhupada left. We found, say, 45 years ago, there were no MP3 players that did auto-repeat or stuff, but they did come out with some cassettes that did auto-repeat. So a god sister introduced us to those, and just having Prabhupada's lectures playing, or his bhajans, just being tuned into his sound vibration, because it's actually his sound vibration that has created and that maintains this whole movement, and that will continue to maintain this movement, is the vibration, the Gauravani, to stay within the realm of Prabhupada's Gauravani. In the old days, we would be able to hear Prabhupada playing around the temple complexes in Mayapur and in Vrindavan, and even in temples, obviously in the West as well, in the restaurants. There's always Prabhupada playing, or a nice pure kirtan by devotees. So yes, staying within the compass of Srila Prabhupada's Vani, the sound vibration, has sustained my soul. And I think it's sustaining it's obvious it's sustaining everyone's soul when we're bewildered or unhappy or got some material sand in our face, then Prabhupada, you pick up a book, look at a picture, watch a video, but especially the lectures, because Prabhupada, lectures and Prabhupada's books, but it's so easy to listen to a lecture, and Prabhupada he gives instructions on everything in his lectures, just as in his books. And the amazing thing is that when we read his books, when we really read them in the right mood, we understand that he is living in his books, because you feel that Prabhupada's there telling you exactly. Just like a devotee was saying the other day that Prabhupada had given an instruction about 50 years ago, and he was hearing this instruction again. And it was like, Prabhupada was telling him, do this. Prabhupada was right there. The spiritual master and spiritual movement is something I'm not yet aware of what it actually means, but theoretically we can understand that Prabhupada is not limited in any way. He's only limited by our limited mind. But, his presence is available to us whenever we have the reception, whenever we're actually tuned in with that knob of sincerity, fine-tune it, then we can get. But even if we're hearing inattentively, at least it's keeping, and that was Prabhupada's instruction also, that if you're doing some service, if you're working in the spiritual sky factory, or you're cooking, or you're doing some, always be in an environment where his lectures, his bhajans, or some kirtan is going on. But obviously, if it's Prabhupada, then it's so powerful. And you, Govinda Dasi, what do you do?
I can relate to your answer very much because I have this radio that's going on in my room all the time.
Yeah.
It just really helps because even I don't pay attention, but then one
Yeah.
it just comes somehow.
Yeah.
Run on the,
It's amazing how Prabhupada is sustaining us.
it just makes also very peaceful atmosphere for your mind when Prabhupada is speaking. Some moderation just makes it.
Soul sister. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. We should never lose sight of the truth. It's so simple. It's like, Lord Brahma couldn't believe that cowherd boy was really Krishna, the Lord that he's worshipping. He said, it doesn't look like the Krishna I'm worshipping. How could that cowherd boy? Prabhupada, he came as a old, seemingly helpless sannyasi. But who he is, we still have to learn, find out, share our attachment to Prabhupada. Hari Bhakti.
You mentioned that we have to be correct disciples, so that the disciple has to be correct as well. And in my experience, I make a lot of mistakes, and
So do I.
and then as I learned from Guru Maharaj or from the loving devotees, that there has to be mistakes for the purification. So that what does it mean really to be correct disciple? What does that mean?
It means to have, to maintain honest intention. It means to hear the description of how we should hear. We heard that a lot from Srila Prabhupada. Submissive oral reception. That we hear with a submissive attitude, a submissive heart. To be honest, I feel that in the past, when things were not so seemingly easy, when it was a bit more of a struggle to maintain one's Krishna consciousness, then I heard with more attentiveness. And I perceive a change, that I've become somewhat complacent, like, there's so many devotees, so many temples, everything's okay. But there's many a slip twixt the cup and the lip. One of Prabhupada's lectures was entitled that between the cup and the lip there can be some slip. And as soon as and again Prabhupada said Krishna consciousness is a razor's edge. a little inattentiveness and there'll be blood. So we have to be honest about being true to Prabhupada as much as possible, and if a devotee sincerely, if a devotee corrects us with sincerity and love, then we should take that correction with gratitude. But we can't cheat Guru or Krishna. We can only cheat ourselves. This is what we've all heard from Srila Prabhupada, that there's one standard for everyone, and we have to help each other follow it. There's no two ways about it. It's the same rule for everyone. We all drive on the right side of the road or the left side according to the country, but the rule is a rule. And yeah, I know I need a lot of help. I'm constantly praying. Not enough, but I'm praying to Prabhupada to help. Because it's not, we can have, many times Prabhupada has also said that it's not a question of academic knowledge or how many verses you know or how many books you've distributed. It all helps, it's wonderful, it helps. But it's the realization, it's the connection that's the proof of our devotion, the proof of our intent. That did I do this for name and fame, or for some kind of social security, or did I do this because I really felt in my heart that, this is what is pleasing to Prabhupada, and I'm doing it for him, for his pleasure. What was the question again? What was your question again about?
What does it mean to be
A correct disciple? Yeah, that our intent is, that we're not trying to profit in any way. In that sense, it seems like it's much easier to be in simple minds and simple bodies, that, just simple devotion. But yeah, to come to that platform of implicit faith that Kasturi was talking about, that's correct. That, implicit faith, that again, it's all such serious talk, but at the end of the day, you remember that pastime where Prabhupada said, if you surrender 75%, you can go back to Godhead. If you surrender even 50%, you can go back. Even 25, was it 25%? Or just hold on to my dhoti and I'll drag you back to Godhead. So, Prabhupada's making it so simple, like this way, that way, whichever way, just some way, come back. So, Mataji.
My name is Chandrika Radha.
Jai Chandrika Radha.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mataji, while speaking about, it's a sin to cheat others. And you quoted Prabhupada said it's also a sin to be cheated. And I have heard this before also, but if you could explain a little bit more on how is it, we cannot avoid doing the sin of being cheated by others. So how do we work on this?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, it means that we surrender our soul to basically to be exploited by the material energy, to be cheated. It's our responsibility to surrender our soul to Krishna. And if we don't do that, we're being cheated. So that decision is in our hand. If someone cheats us, we weren't careful. But if we cheat ourselves by betraying our love for Krishna and placing that attachment somewhere else, then we're voluntarily being cheated. It's a tough one. That's why we have... Actually, it's amazing how staunch the devotees are. We have so many staunch devotees all over the movement. They're not being cheated. But again, we have to be careful. We always have to be careful that, not to minimize the instructions of the spiritual master. We've made a lot of mistakes since Srila Prabhupada left, and big mistakes too. And many big mistakes that need to be corrected. But first we have to become aware of them as a movement, accept that we've made these big mistakes as a movement, and then as a movement agree to take steps to correct them, because a big mistake, then you get a big reaction. No one likes that. So we have to not be cheated and not cheat also. 5 to 7.
Could you please advise something to us about how to improve more in Krishna consciousness?
Be kind to me. I'm such a demon. If you're kind to me, then Prabhupada will be happy. My heart will change. We should, be kind. Just be kind. Try to understand what real kindness means, and be kind. And be strict. It's very good to be strict. Prabhupada was very strict, but at the same time very loving, very personal, truly caring. There's no loss in that. We can't lose. Because everyone needs care. The plant needs care, people need care. So that we have to learn step by step. So much to learn. But if we focus on our japa, because the holy names, as we all know, they have full potency to enact all that we need within the heart. They can purify us and bring us to a stage of no fall down, according to the intensity of our desire. So if we can increase the intensity of our desire without going crazy, not artificially, but Actually, sometimes you notice devotees are being very, very Krishna conscious, and you think, or people think about you, what's wrong with you? You're being too Krishna conscious. But so not in that way, but just in a real way, to increase the depth and intensity of our desire to be who we really are. Just to get there as quickly as possible, and to be empowered to do things that are pleasing to Srila Prabhupada, services that are pleasing to Prabhupada. So, at least to my mind, it seems like I need to very much increase sincerity and intensity. But you're serving here in Vrindavan. You know, you need to teach me that. That's why I'm saying, if you can be kind to me. Yeah. There's distractions everywhere, but there's so many things we think we need to do. I need to do this, I need to do that. And then we can get distracted. So we need to pray to Krishna, only allow me to do what you want me to do. Don't allow me to do anything outside of that, just what you want. Very kind of you. Thank you, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.